If you ever wanted a gaming laptop and you thought, you know what, 15.6-inch solutions would be too big for me, well then this Asus system might be for you. The Zephyrus G14 is one of few 14-inch gaming laptops on the market, which definitely helps to stand out on this crowded 15.6-inch space, but despite its slightly smaller size, what probably makes it stand out even more is the fact that it's one of few notebooks that comes delivered with AMD's brand new mobile Ryzen 4000 CPU. And guys, I'm telling you, this processor is hands down the best mobile CPU on the market right now. There is no question about it. I've been playing around with this bad boy for the last couple of weeks, and I'm actually able to surf the web with Wi-Fi with around 150 to 160 nits brightness, and the battery lasted me over 11 hours. That makes it one of the longest lasting gaming laptops you can buy right now, and it's more than double what the average gaming machine can do. And what do you think about Ryzen 4000 so far? Let me know in the comments below. But battery life is obviously not the only thing that impresses me. The performance is just insane as well, and it runs pretty much any game you throw at it without any hiccups. And in today's video we're gonna put this little machine to the test. Is it the best long-lasting battery life gaming notebook that you can buy right now? Well, let's find out. Hey, what is up guys, welcome to RB Hardware. My name is Rob and I'm your Swedish host and friend with bad posture and poor accent. By the way, at any point during the video feel free to check out the links where you can pick this up, and everything is listed down below. Alright, so a gaming laptop that delivers longer battery life than a traditional notebook. How is that even possible? Well, although Asus has equipped the Zephyrus G14 with a fairly large battery, it comes down to the parts inside. So without any further ado, let's take a look at these specifications. Alright, so Asus is shipping the Zephyrus G14 in at least 4 different configurations as far as I'm aware. Regardless what configuration you pick, you're still getting AMD's new Ryzen 4000 processor. The cheapest one starts at just over $1,000, and it comes with the Ryzen 5 4600H and a GTX 1650 Ti. In other words, pretty modest spec. The flagship, however, comes equipped with the 8-core beast Ryzen 9 4900HS, coupled with a RTX 2060 Max-Q, and this comes in at $1,449. And right in the middle we find the machine I'm testing out today, and this one's got the Ryzen 7 4800HS processor, coupled with the GTX 1660 Ti Max-Q graphics, and this one has an MSRP of $1,299. Now, like the desktop lineup where you sometimes find an X in the end of a Ryzen processor, on the mobile side you instead typically see a U, a H, or a HS. U stands for ultra low voltage, and the difference between the H model and the HS model is a slight bit slower power draw. And as far as the rest of the specification goes, everything else is identical. And so what this means is that these chips have been handpicked, and there is a little bit of a silicon lottery playing here. And as we can see, every mobile APU comes with a so-called integrated graphics, and there is no exception on Ryzen 4000. And every CPU model you find different GPU configurations for each CPU. Ryzen 4000 is using a refreshed Vega design with up to 8 compute units. This particular machine has a Radeon Vega iGPU with 7 compute units, and it doesn't sound like much in this day and age, but I'm telling you, it's pretty damn impressive what this thing can do. And I ask myself, what if it's actually possible to game on the integrated graphics? Would that even be possible? Well, to try this out, I decided to run a couple of esport games, and I was completely blown away by the results. I should be said guys, this is not the main GPU on this machine, but it's definitely nice to see that you can actually play games on the integrated graphics if you wanted to, as this can save battery life. Anyway, we're gonna take a greater look at the gaming performance a bit later, but for now on, let's focus on the design. The chassis consists mostly of magnesium aluminum with a smooth but slightly roughened textures that hides fingerprints very well, and half of the lid is covered with mesmerizing micro dots for the mini LED lights called Anime Matrix Display, and this one can display your own images or GIFs. However guys, this is a premium feature and it costs extra, and our model that I'm testing out today didn't have the LED lighting as you can see, and so it's not necessary, but it can be a cool feature that unfortunately again cost a bit of extra. Now, as for rigidity, the base feels very solid. There is no twisting or cracking when attempting to bend, its corners. The keyboard center yields only slight with applied pressure, and the hinges are satisfactory with no cracking as well. Unfortunately, the outer lid is more flexible than what I was expecting, which is a bit unfortunate. unfortunate. There are grill cutouts on the left and the right side of the deck for the top firing speakers, and just above we find the keyboard, which we're gonna talk more about in just a second. Anyway, I wanna say this, guys, it comes with one of the worst white backlight I've ever seen, but yeah, we're gonna touch on this more in a second. But the bezels on the display are relatively narrow, but there is no webcam, which I find a bit weird, and for numbers it weighs in at 3.5 pounds or 1.5 kilograms, and it measures 12.8 by 8.7 by 1.7 inches. Alright, so let's take a look at the ports. We're getting dual USB Type A ports, we got dual USB Type C ports, we got a single HDMI 2.0B, and so far so good. But unfortunately there is no Ethernet port, there is no Thunderbolt 3 or SD card reader, which is a disappointment. We're also getting Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5 connectivity, and when I was testing out I was very happy with the transfer speed, so hopefully that means low ping as well. We have a total of 14 screws holding the bottom panel in place, and once loosened we have access to the SO-DIMM slot and the M.2 SSD. And one weird decision Asus made here is that they have decided to solder one of the two 8GB RAM sticks, and so what this means is that if you ever decided to upgrade to more than 16 gigs of RAM that is already installed, you're essentially only able to swap out one of the two sticks, and this effectively means that you won't be able to run the machine in dual channel mode any longer, and this will definitely have an impact on the performance. And so my recommendation here is to stick to the 16GB that's already installed and forget about ever upgrading. As for the keyboard, the travel and feedback actually feels deep and strong. One complaint, however, is that clatter from space, enter and backspace keys are louder than the main keys. To give you a better idea what I'm talking about, this is what it sounds like. Another complaint here relates to the awful contrast between the silver keycaps and the grey key font, where the font here can be quite difficult to see, and this unfortunately becomes even worse when the white backlight is on. There is, however, a fix to this. The black color option for the Zephyrus G14 is not having the same problem, but this is definitely a big miss on the white variant, and unfortunately I don't know what Asus were thinking here. As for the touchpad, the glide is very smooth with almost no sticking even when moving at slower speeds. The integrated mouse clicks, however, are too soft and far too shallow with unsatisfying feedback when pressed, and that makes the touchpad feel a lot cheaper. And what about the display then? So Asus has fitted the G14 with a 14-inch 1920 by 1080 IPS display with FreeSync and 120Hz refresh rate. The cool thing with FreeSync is that it reduces screen tearing when gaming, and this is a feature you typically won't find on any cheaper machines. 120Hz is also very nice to see and should definitely be on anyone's shortlist on the hunt for gaming laptop in 2020. Color space covers approximately 60% and 92% of Adobe RGB and sRGB respectively, which should be considered more than okay for a laptop in this price range. Outdoor visibility is average, I would say, but I wouldn't recommend gaming on this machine outdoors. The viewing angles are typical for an IPS display, and colors and contrast will degrade only viewed from an extreme and unrealistic angles. As for backlight bleed, there is definitely some of that visible on this unit, as you can see, which is a bit disappointing. However, I don't find that distracting, and to me this is far from a deal breaker. So this particular G14 unit comes with the 4800HS processor, and it's an 8-core processor based on the Zen 2 microarchitecture. Got a clock speed of 2.9 and a turbo of 4.2. It's got a TDP of 35 watts, and this is only possible thanks to the modern 7nm process by TSMC. Apart from the CPU cores, we also find an integrated Radeon RX Vega 7, and the machine I'm testing comes configured with the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti with Max-Q. Now it is important to have in mind that Max-Q performs about 10 to 15% slower than a regular GTX 1660 Ti for laptops, depending on the cooling of course. According to specifications, Max Max-Q variant clocks about 22% slower for the base speed and 16% for the boost speed. And for the most part, the performance difference between the Predator Helios 300 that comes equipped with 1660 Ti, non-Max-Q and the G14 is not as noticeable as I was expecting. Sure, it is obvious that the Max-Q variant takes a small hit thanks to lower clock speed, but for the most part we're able to reach a very stable and satisfying average frame rate. And considering the small size and mobility of the G14, I'm very impressed by these results, and it gets even better. The integrated graphics is not that bad either, and actually does incredibly well in most esport-like games titles as a bonus, and it runs circles around any Intel-based graphics available on the market. Unfortunately, everything isn't bells and whistles, and fan noise is definitely this machine's biggest drawback. Even when the system is set to silent mode, the fans will still be active and make noises, and if we set the system to turbo mode, the fan noise becomes even louder. And it's too bad that the system never really truly gets silent, even when set to the lowest power profile possible. I tried to record this while I was playing, and this is basically what it sounds like. As for the temperatures, it can get pretty hot when you've been gaming for longer sessions, but I wouldn't say it gets too hot and uncomfortable when gaming. I decided to run some stress tests in Cinebench to test the respectable turbo boost sustainability, and I'm happy to say that the system doesn't seem to lose that much performance even when it's running hotter for longer sessions, which is a good indication that the cooling solution is efficient. As for the speaker sound, the overall audio quality is nothing special, but what stands out with Zephyrus G14 killer performance is the battery life. And again, surfing the web over Wi-Fi with brightness set to half of the total peak brightness, the battery lasted me over 11 hours. This is again very impressive for being a gaming laptop. Now, charging from empty to full capacity is however quite slow, and it takes about 2.5 hours. One cool bonus offered on the G14 is the ability to charge via the USB Type-C. As a quick bonus here guys, by default the display will run at 120Hz, even with the power saver mode profile activated. Now, to sum this all up guys, I was very excited taking a look at this machine, as I have been very excited to try Zen 2 on mobile, and it turns out the 7nm Ryzen 7 4800HS will outperform the 14nm Core i7 9750H found inside the Predator Helios in multi-threaded workloads by relatively wide margins, while still being on par with Intel's current flagship offerings on mobile. And Intel definitely have a lot of catching up to do when they launch their upcoming 10th gen Tiger Lake architecture, and I'm amazed for the fact that Asus has been able to fit so much computing power in such a small chassis. And we're looking at performance that is mind-blowing: 16 gigs of RAM, fast SSD, 120Hz IPS screen with FreeSync at 1.5 kilograms makes the G14 quite unique. Now, there is a small number of important drawbacks I want you guys to be aware of, and the biggest one is the fan noise. Secondly is the backlight keyboard. The obvious solution to this is to pick the gray variant with darker keyboard, and you should be good for the most part. Regardless, I am stoked over the G14, and it feels amazing being able to play games on such a small and powerful system. And outside gaming, the machine keeps impressing me even more and more and more. The slim form factor, the elegant design, quality feel, and massive performance is incredible and makes it a solid pick for anyone that travels a lot seeking, the extra performance without sacrificing, high-end performance gaming. That's it guys. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much for sticking around this long, and again, you find all details in the description down below. In the meantime, watch either of these two videos, and I will see you guys in the next one.